Welcome to another day with Jay, the investigator of the investigatable, the Don Quixote of the desert, the tenacious tracker of Tartarian truths. I'm fired up today. I'm ready to kick mainstream history in the ancient stones. In this episode, we are going to visit the Madonna of the Trail in Wheeling, West Virginia. Mainstream history has desecrated sacred Indian burial grounds. The Smithsonian dug up over 50 sacred burial mounds to cover up the giant people of the past. Even the WPA started digging up giants. Mainstream anthropologists try to explain the past away by saying they were not giants. The people of the past were just unusually tall individuals with giganticism like Andre the Giant. Oh yeah, brother. What about the Tartarian antiquitech and architecture? Was Wheeling, West Virginia built or discovered? Well, that's for you to decide. Buckle up, brother, because this show's about to get started. Our investigation continues at the pioneer monuments in the American West. Wheeling, West Virginia is one of the more beautiful locations for the Madonna of the Trail statues. This 18-foot tall, 17-ton monument is located at the majestic entrance of historic Wheeling Park. There has been a Wheeling Park since before the turn of the 20th century. At first, it was an estate so beautiful that people would come from miles just to walk the grounds. Many of the original structures remain in the park today. This looks like a nice place to go golfing. I have actually never been golfing. Maybe they offer lessons. Okay, so what else do they have here? Segway Tours. I always wanted to go on a Segway tour. I will definitely need lessons for this. This looks like it's going to end badly. Someone in the back is going to fall off their Segway and it will take off, knocking everyone else down like bowling pins. It'd be like a scene out of that AC/DC movie Maximum Overdrive where the machines all come alive and start attacking everybody. Okay, let's get back on track. Let's see what else they got here. You can always try your luck on the aerial challenge course. No explanation necessary on how this could end badly. They even have wedding packages. If you survive the Segway tour gone wrong, and you both manage not to get hurt too badly on the aerial challenge course, then it's meant to be. Congratulations on your special day. When I look at the rolling hills, I can't help but think there are Native American burial mounds here. Maybe even giant. One of the most interesting things that happens when you begin to research history's mysteries is that you begin to see the world in a different way. You will begin to recognize clues that others miss. After a quick Google search, I found that there are giants in Wheeling, West Virginia. My hunches may be a bit hyperbolic, but there is something more to see here. The Daughters of the American Revolution put the Madonna of the Trail statue right in front of a park of Indian burial mounds with giants all over the place. Oh yeah! Alright, so let's check this website out, legendsofamerica.com. As more digs progressed in the coming years, archaeologists in Wheeling, West Virginia found another grouping of giants ranging in height from 6 foot 7 inches to 7 feet 6 inches, which also displayed unusual skull formations with low foreheads and prominent backs of the skull. In many of the ancient burial mounds of West Virginia, a number of giants were found in years past. Other large skeletons were found in the early days of coal mining, and more were found as people were excavating the grounds for other purposes. One of the first reports of giants occurred in 1774, when Jack Parsons was walking along the recently flooded Cheat River. When he noticed some bones protruding from the ground, he pulled a femur from the soil, and when he compared it to his own, it was 7 inches longer. He then removed the rest of the bones and laid them out, estimating that it would have stood about 8 feet tall. Other settlers also found gigantic skeletons in the area, which was soon dubbed Giant Town. In 1857, there's an article in the Western Literary Messenger talking about a giant that was found in Sheriff Wickman's vineyard. When him and his brother had measured it, it came to 10 feet 9 inches in length. Its jaw and teeth were almost as large as those of a horse, and then they displayed the bones at the sheriff's office. In 1875, when workers were constructing a bridge near the mouth of Paw Creek at Riverville, they uncovered 3 giant skeletons with strands of reddish hair clinging to their skulls. A local doctor was called in to examine the remains, who determined that they were definitely human and estimated that the skeletons to be approximately 8 feet tall. Afterwards, with exposure to air, the bones deteriorated rapidly. What were they, like vampires? And they like just turned to dust when they were exposed to the sun? Wow. Giant vampires. That same year, the Smithsonian Institution dispatched a team of archaeologists to the Creole Mound in South Charleston. Led by Colonel Lewis Morris, the team conducted extensive digs of some 50 mounds in the area and issued a detailed report. In their investigation, the team uncovered numerous giants, one of which was 7 feet 6 inches tall and decorated with 6 heavy copper bracelets on each wrist, and on his shoulder were 3 large plates of mica. In 1937, the WPA went to Wheeling, West Virginia. They went to dig the largest swimming pool in the area. Were they just digging a swimming pool, or were they looking for something? It wouldn't be the first time the WPA found giants. A newspaper article from 1940 tells that a giant-sized skull was found in Texas. They received confirmation from the University of Texas that a large skull was found in the Creole Mound in 1939, but that the skull has been missing from the collection for a long time. Maybe it disintegrated from the sunlight and turned to dust. The beach giant skull, unearthed by WPA workers near Victoria, believed to be the largest ever found in the world. Twice the size of the skull of a normal man, the fragments were dug up by W. Duffin, archaeologist who is excavating the mound in Victoria County under a WPA project sponsored by the University of Texas. The pieces taken from the mound were reconstructed in the WPA laboratory under the supervision of physical anthropologists. I wonder what else the WPA had in their laboratory. We're here at soulguidance.com looking at elongated skulls from ancient races on Earth. Many of the giants are said to have low foreheads and prominent back of the skull, and I wanted to see some pictures of what they would look like. It says here, although the term elongated skull is now widely used to refer to certain naturally occurring types of skulls, the proper term should be long skulls, because these skulls have never been artificially elongated in the first place. You can see artist reproductions of what they would look like, or reconstructions. It says reconstruction from elongated skull, Mayan. This is a reconstruction from an elongated skull, a European Hun woman. And you can see their skulls here next to they don't quite know what they are. This is a Homo sapien skull of a woman. You see how much bigger her skull is. And you can see a Homo sapien skull here, and then they don't know what kind of skull this is. So this is supposed to be him right here. See how much bigger he is? You see how much bigger she is? The Huns are very interesting. If I remember correctly, they say that the Huns were a mysterious Eastern European country that battled with the Romans during the decline of the Roman Empire. Many people associate them with the Mongols, and the Mongols, of course, are associated with Tartaria. So these could be ancient Tartarians. This could be what they looked like. It would make sense if they had, you look at the Mayans and the architecture they had built, they don't even know how they built that today. But if they had larger heads and bigger brains, it could be very possible that they could just think better than people with smaller heads. With her being a European Hun, it makes me think that she was part of the Tartarian Empire, with the larger brains creating all of the mysterious architecture that we see today. I have a new theory that Tartarians had really big brains. Not everybody's going to feel comfortable getting behind an idea like this, but some people will. I wanted to look at this a little bit longer before I move on. It says here, scholars debunk myth of prehistoric giants in West Virginia. Definitely going to have to check this out. You know you're on the right track whenever scholars try and debunk something. Debunk, 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 debunk. Whoever even uses that word anymore, but it is fun to say. Debunk, debunk, da bunk. Okay, let's see what the scholars have to say about the giants in Wheeling, West Virginia. This article starts out by stating that the author had written several articles about the giants in West Virginia. This got the attention of local scholars who wanted to work with the author to address some of the misconceptions about giants. Scholars have clarified that the giants being described in the myth aren't supernatural in size. They are described as unusually tall individuals who would now be diagnosed with giganticism. Many early histories of West Virginia include some form of the myth, often glorifying a mysterious past race of mound builders that had been driven out by savage Indians. The second point scholars make is that the skeletons were typically measured by unskilled workmen. And finally, it should also be noted that alleged proof of giant skeletons often comes from the late 19th and early 20th century newspapers. These accounts were often self-reported by the public, cited documented hoaxes like the Cardiff Giant, and would have appeared in the same publications as ads for miracle elixirs and opium-laced medicine. So what they're saying is that many of these giants weren't measured properly, or they were sensationalized in tabloids next to opium-laced medicines, but if they were measured properly, then they just had giganticism. Like Andre the Giant. Oh yeah, brother! I watched the Andre the Giant documentary on HBO the other night. You can also read about it here on boardpanda.com. This hand belongs to Andre the Giant, and here he's holding a regular-sized beer can despite it looking tiny. Andre the Giant, 1946 to 1993, was a French-born international wrestling superstar and actor. He weighed 520 pounds, was 7 foot 4 inches tall, and suffered from giganticism. He was the first international wrestling star. He was an actor who played Fezzik in The Princess Bride. Andre the Giant was a man who couldn't find comfort in the world that was not made for him. Andre also had his own struggles, from being in pain to suffering public ridicule, as well as hardly ever fitting in. Sharp Toe tweeted out after the release of the HBO documentary, "Randy Savage baby oil, 106 beers, huge farts, I learned a lot tonight, A+." The Ohio County Public Library has an amazing collection of old photographs. I thought I would just play some relaxing music and you could look at these photographs of mud flood buildings, of floods, of buildings with giant doors and giant windows, and you can decide for yourself if you think Wheeling, West Virginia was built in the 1800s or merely rediscovered. With all this talk about giganticism and giant Tartarians with really big brains, there's been a lot of positive news lately about the healing power of dance. What better way to end this video than with a dance-off between Andre the Giant and the big brain Tartarian? Let me know in the comments who you think won. You decide.